30 miles northwest of New Orleans, the interstate crosses a stretch of water that doesn't have a proper name on most maps. There's an exit sign. It just reads, Ruddock. Most people don't stop. There's nothing there. A boat launch, cottonmouth snakes in the wiregrass, the ruins of something that used to be a town, swallowed so completely by the swamp that even the outlines are gone now. But once, not so long ago in the way the Bayou measures time, there were people here, families, houses with porches, a community that had grown up along the waterways between Lake Pontchartrain and Lake Maurepas in the marshy corridor known as Manchac Swamp. And there was a woman named Julia Brown. She was born around 1845, a black woman, landowner, healer. She had married a man named Celestin Brown and inherited a 40-acre homestead in the nearby settlement of Frenier. The neighbors knew her, respected her mostly, feared her a little. She had a gift for folk medicine, for reading the land and the sky, for knowing things before they happened. And she had a habit of singing on her porch. One song in particular. The neighbors had heard it for years, a slow, strange melody that carried over the swamp on still evenings. The words were simple, almost like a promise. One day I'm going to die and take the whole town with me. On September 29th, 1915, Julia Brown died. The community gathered for her funeral. They placed her in a casket. They sealed the casket in a wooden box the way was customary. 4 o'clock in the afternoon they were still gathered around her. And then the storm arrived. It came without warning. No weather satellites, no radio alerts, just the sky going wrong all at once, the wind picking up from nothing, the water rising faster than anyone had ever seen. A Category 4 hurricane moving directly through Manchac Swamp. The mourners fled. They left Julia Brown behind, left her sealed in her box in the rising water, and ran for their lives. When the storm passed, Frenier was gone. Ruddock was gone. 58 people were dead, most of them buried together in a mass grave in the swamp. The communities were never rebuilt. The land went back to the cypress trees and the still black water. And Julia Brown's casket was never found. The wooden box surfaced, the casket gone. Where it went, the Bayou didn't say. But people say Julia Brown went with it, and that she had planned it that way all along.
The New Orleans Times-Picayune covered the disaster. Reporters were sent out to document the wreckage. And in those newspaper accounts, not in folklore, not in a ghost tour script, but in the actual printed record of 1915, the reporter speculated that the storm had an occult catalyst, that Julia Brown had caused it, that her song had been a prophecy, or a curse, or both. This is the part that stops you. Not the ghost story, not the missing casket, but the fact that even the newspaper, even the rational, secular press of a major American city looked at what happened in Manchac Swamp and reached for the supernatural to explain it. Because some things don't fit into the ordinary frame. Julia Brown was real. Her homestead is in the historical record. The hurricane is documented. The mass grave exists. People have reported for over a century now hearing sounds in that swamp that don't belong there. A woman's voice, low and musical, carrying over the water when there's no one there. The crying of the people who drowned at her funeral, rising from the waterlogged earth. Airboat tours come through now. The guides point to a crucifix near the water and tell tourists it marks Julia Brown's grave. It doesn't. Her grave was never found. The crucifix was placed there for atmosphere, for commerce, for the appetite people have for standing in a haunted place and feeling the weight of it. But the appetite itself is real. And maybe that's what the legend is doing. Julia Brown was a woman of considerable power in a time and place that gave black women almost none. She owned land, she was known, she was consulted, and she was also inevitably feared, because power in a woman in that Louisiana of the 1880s had to be explained somehow, had to be categorized, called hoodoo, called voodoo, called a curse. The song on her porch was probably just a song. The hurricane was a hurricane. And yet, 58 people died at her funeral. Her casket was never recovered, and the town she sang about taking with her is gone, completely, permanently gone, swallowed by the same swamp she lived beside for 40 years. Visitors to Manchac Swamp today say the place feels different from other swamps, quieter, heavier, like the air is holding something in. Kayakers who go out at night, and some do, following flashlights through the cypress corridors, report a stillness that doesn't feel natural, and sometimes, just at the edge of hearing, something that might be singing. Manchac Swamp, 30 miles northwest of New Orleans, exit Ruddock. Julia Brown died on September 29, 1915. She took the whole town with her, just like she said she would.